Today's story is called The Haunting Dolls of the Island, a tale of unimaginable terror. It was a small island, hidden away from the rest of the world, surrounded by treacherous waters and dense, impenetrable forests. But despite its remote location, the Island of the Dolls had gained a reputation for being one of the most eerie and mysterious places on Earth. The legend of the Island of the Dolls went that a man named Don Julian had once lived there, and that he had been haunted by the spirit of a young girl who had drowned in the nearby waters. In an attempt to appease her ghost, Don Julian had begun hanging dolls from the trees all around the island. But as the years went by, the dolls began to take on a life of their own. They would move and sway in the wind, and at night, their eyes would glow with an otherworldly light. Some claimed that they could hear the dolls whispering to each other, as if they were alive. Despite the rumors, a young woman named Sarah was determined to visit the Island of the Dolls. She was a filmmaker, and she was hoping to capture the eerie beauty of the island on film. She set off on her journey, eager to explore the mysterious place for herself. When Sarah arrived on the island, she was immediately struck by the dolls. They hung from every tree, swaying in the wind, their eyes staring blankly into the distance. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, but she was also filled with a sense of wonder. She set up her camera and began to film. She walked along the paths of the island, capturing the dolls from every angle. But as the day wore on, Sarah began to notice something strange. The dolls seemed to be watching her, their eyes following her every move. At night, the dolls came alive. Sarah heard strange noises, like whispers and laughter, coming from the trees. She was filled with terror, and she knew that she had to leave the island as soon as possible. She packed up her gear and made her way back to the boat. But as she stepped onto the pier, she heard a voice calling her name. It was the voice of a young girl, and it seemed to be coming from the dolls. Sarah turned around and saw the dolls, their eyes shining with an otherworldly light. They had come to life, and they were moving towards her, their arms reaching out. Sarah screamed and ran back to the boat, but the dolls followed her, their feet pounding on the pier. She started the engine and sped away from the island, her heart pounding with fear. But as she looked back, she saw that the dolls were still following her, their eyes glowing in the darkness. Sarah tried to shake the dolls off, but they only grew closer, their arms reaching out to grab her. She could hear their whispers in her ear, like the laughter of children, but the sound was filled with an evil intent. The dolls overtook the boat, crawling aboard and surrounding Sarah. She screamed and fought back, but it was no use. The dolls were too strong, their tiny hands gripping her tightly. They dragged her into the water, pulling her down into the depths of the sea. Sarah struggled and fought, but the dolls were relentless, holding her under until she took her last breath. Her body was never found, but the film footage remained. The world would never know what happened to Sarah on the Island of the Dolls, but the dolls continued to wait, always watching, always searching for their next victim. And once you step onto the Island of the Dolls, you'll never leave. The dolls will follow you, always watching, always waiting, until they claim you as their own.